All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast. This is episode number 28. We are approaching 30 straight weeks of our Info Pack podcast. I want to first shout out all of our Freedom and Wealth Seekers that contribute to the content that we share here. Sometimes it's not the week of that you send it and I may share it later in the next couple of weeks, but I definitely read the emails, continue to send me the articles and the videos that you all find that you would like me to discuss on this platform. I also want to shout out our Freedom and Wealth Seeker Academy and Inner Circle, one-on-one Inner Circle members. A special shout out to 2 Inner Circle members that are seeing results right now, and that is Jennifer Jordan, who is on her way to closing her first wholesale deal. She's going to profit without taking ownership. Initially, after looking at the numbers, we thought Jennifer was going to land a 6-figure deal on her first deal. However, things do change in business. The interest rate went up, and that caused buyers to pull back. However, she is going to be seeing a healthy 5-figure profit. Anything with two numbers in front of the comma with 3 zeros is a good payday. If you agree with me, put a yes in the chat. I also want to congratulate Chris McCrae. Chris McCrae has successfully purchased, I believe, another local government foreclosure, pennies on the dollar. He just received his tax sale certificate, I believe, today. After reading a text, we are excited for Chris McCrae and all of our other Inner Circle members that have seen results. I just want to shout you all out for taking action, and for the Freedom and Wealth Seekers that are, that may feel stuck, may feel frustrated, may feel that there's too much competition in the market, may be in a place financially where you don't really have any wiggle room. You're trying to make the ends meet, and they're still not meeting. What I say to you, wherever you are in life, financially or business-wise, start where you are. And we've created this community for people from all demographics to be able to gain access to information and start where they are. Okay. If you're in a position to take advantage of coaching and mentorship or join our academy, please make sure you apply. Don't wait, don't think about it. It could be one of the biggest and best decisions you make regarding your real estate investing career. I've been coaching and teaching people how to do this business since 2007, and specifically helping people get over, number one, their fears, helping people get their first property under contract. That's like the biggest hurdle most real estate investors encounter, is getting their first deal under contract, and more importantly, getting the deal sold. Okay, and that can mean an array of different things: getting it sold, or you're going to hold the property yourself. You're going to close on the property and hold it to either fix it up and sell it, or fix it up and rent it long term. But that's basically what we do here at the Freedom and Wealth Seekers Podcast Academy in our Inner Circle program. We do talk about some other asset classes. I always shout out the people I'm learning stock investing from, and that is Ian Dunlap and Wall Street Trapper. I discovered them about 2.5 years ago on the EYL network. Cryptocurrency has been a part of my investing life since 2017. 2017. I've ridden that roller coaster, folks. I definitely believe in it, and I believe next to real estate, it is one of the most powerful asset classes you could be investing in, that I invest in. However, it's the most volatile. It's the most volatile, but also one of the most powerful. Before we jump into the content tonight, I definitely have to share the disclaimer. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, understand that my content is intended and must be used for informational and even sometimes entertainment purposes only. It is very important that you do your own due diligence before implementing any of the methods mentioned and using any of the tools shared. And the results shared on my platform are not typical. Any investments you make are based on your own personal financial circumstances. I recommend that you consult with a licensed professional and verify anything that I say. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to Curtis, shout out to James, David. I'm seeing you guys pop up on the Zoom here. So when I say results aren't typical, all you have to do is visit the main blog, marcelhumphrey.com, and look at the review section. You're going to see people with different results. Okay. You're going to see people with different results. Now, just because I share a website or I share a strategy doesn't mean you're going to have the same results as those individuals. It also doesn't mean if you go to those sites, you'll start experiencing results immediately. That is not real estate investing. Understand the word real estate investing. Okay. Real estate is the asset that we invest. Number one, our time. Number two, our energy. And number three, our money. Right? So without those first two, time and energy, there's no way you're going to get to the point where you're investing your money successfully. That's from my experience. Like, as a real estate investor, you truly have to invest time, energy, and money. There are a lot of people that want to invest in real estate. And let me rewind a bit, because nowadays you actually can go to a website and invest your money in real estate without doing any work. There are platforms like that. But to me, that's not really investing. Like, you may get 12% on your money. You may get up to 20% on your money long term. But to experience exponential profits, to experience real transformational, and when I say transformational wealth, I was watching a podcast. I forget who was on this podcast. I was watching this podcast, and the gentleman was like, for African Americans, a lot of us talk about generational wealth, but we haven't even created wealth yet. So we have to transform ourselves financially by creating transformational wealth. Like, it starts with us first. So a lot of us weren't born into wealth. A lot of us don't have wealth right now. So we have to transform our bank accounts, our portfolios into wealth creation. And the only way truly to be able to do that is if you invest your time and energy and eventually your money into real estate, whether it's the education side or the asset side. But you have to invest in yourself. You have to sacrifice your time and your energy. I sent out a meme. I wouldn't even call it a meme. An image of the greatest civil rights leader I believe that ever walked this earth, and that was Frederick Douglass. And he made a statement. Actually, he made a speech. He made a speech. Now, I don't want to get this wrong, but I want to read some of it. And when I saw this, it rung a bell. And one of my buddies in real estate, he actually recited this speech recently at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum in Baltimore. And this is part of the speech. I'm gonna read this to you. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence, bequeathed by your fathers, is shared by you, not by me. Okay, so this was Frederick Douglass's 4th of July speech. He actually did this July 5th, 1852, I believe. And, you know, the crowd was predominantly majority white. And I'm pretty sure when they got there, they weren't expecting him to give such a speech, really jaw-dropping in that day and time. But that first sentence really stands out to me when he says, the rich inheritance. And then you go down to the word prosperity, right? And you also go through that word justice. Like, to me, what that meant to me was, number one, as an African American in the United States, as a Black man then in the United States, there was no justice at all. Rarely justice. And then prosperity, there weren't places equally where Blacks could prosper, could live successful lives, could build wealth without fearing their lives in danger during this time. This is during slavery, when most Blacks in the United States were slaves, were not educated. So I sent that out, not to be radical or just to really educate you all on, because a lot of people don't even know about this speech that Frederick Douglass gave in 1852, but how a lot of that speech still relates to what's going on today: justice, liberty, prosperity. We are still, Blacks in America, we hold the least amount of wealth in the United States. We're now below Mexican Americans. And we were here before them. But yet we don't own as much property as them. And that's, yes, we could say it's all by design. Yes, a lot of people can use that cliche over and over again. However, that's running out. Those excuses are running out. By 2030, statistics show, economists are saying that Blacks will have less than 0% of all the wealth in the United States. Okay, I'm going to find that article, that video. I'm going to share it on this podcast, and we'll have a discussion about that. But now is the time, like more than any other time in the world. There's no better time than now to learn how to invest and to start investing. Okay, to learn how to invest and to start investing, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in stocks, whether it's in cryptocurrency. Now is the time to get educated. I'm listening to financial news. I'm listening to different podcasts. And everybody is pretty much saying the same thing, that we may be headed to one of the biggest economic crashes that we've ever seen. Right now, we're literally in a recession. Like, that is it's not skepticism anymore. Like, it's a fact that we are in a soft recession. Gas prices are up, food is up. We've been talking about this pretty much throughout this podcast. We've been talking about the economy. There's several indicators that are out in the open and that are going on in different marketplaces that are not yet talked about. I'll mention one of them tonight, and also mention a grisly discovery in regards to the real estate market, where I think it's going to go. So tonight I'm going to give you my take on the state of the housing market from my perspective. I'm also going to share some news with you that dives into some of the indicators that I mentioned earlier. We are going to cover direct mail Wednesday, and if you stick around, you will get lesson number 3 of the Freedom and Wealth lesson segment. That's new. We're on segment 3 of that. Also, we want to thank all of the people that purchased Derek Anthony's Fliposophy book, the rehab manual that Derek created a couple of months ago. Congratulations to those folks that took advantage of that offer. So, my take on the state of the housing market. This is from my experience, okay? Don't take this as the rule of thumb here. Don't take this as, the end all be all, right? I can only speak on my experience. So I'm going to speak from 2 different perspectives. I'm going to speak from a real estate wholesaler. Actually, more than 2. I'm going to speak from 4 different perspectives. A real estate wholesaler, a local government foreclosure investor, a rehabber, and a landlord. All right. So let's start with wholesaling, real estate wholesaling. So recently, I helped one of my one-on-one student partners put a wholesale deal together. All right. This deal, as soon as she put the property under contract, I said, I believe this is a 6-figure wholesale deal, easily, because of the location in one of the nation's top real estate markets, Washington, D.C. It was just a no-brainer. Single family detached home. The house across the street, which was a much smaller row house, semi-detached house, sold for X amount of dollars. This is an easy deal. All right. The market before the interest rate hike was steaming hot, was like burning hot. Any and everybody that was currently in the real estate market would have easily paid the $300,000 to $400,000 we were asking for this property. However, the interest rate goes up at the time she puts this property under contract, and investors, even speculators, start to scale back. All right. I not only saw this in the Washington, D.C. market, but I saw this in other markets like Texas, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Georgia, different parts. And you may be saying, well, how did you see this in other markets? Here's a nugget for you all to take down. I wholesale real estate, right? Been wholesaling real estate since 2004, okay? Over the years, I've put myself, just like you all, I want you all to do the same thing I've done over the years, is I've put myself on other people's buyers lists. So I would send people my email, whether it was through Facebook, whether it was through their websites. Like, all you have to do is Google Atlanta, Georgia wholesale deals, and there'll be websites that pop up, and blogs and social media profiles that pop up, or groups that pop up that you can join, that you can enter in your name and your email, and now even your phone number. So I'm on these email lists. So ever so often throughout the week, on a daily basis sometimes, I get emails, and I've been doing this for years. So I'm on several different real estate wholesalers, real estate investors email lists, and I get their emails. So when I see people, and my one-on-one students and academy members know this, when I receive emails more than once for the same exact property, I know there's something going on in the market. So if I get a deal from X, Y, and Z wholesaler on Monday, and I get that same deal from them on Thursday, I know the deal hasn't sold. And a good deal in a great market sells like that. I want y'all to understand that. That's like a phone call away, right? That's even if it makes the email list, because there are a lot of deals that I don't even have to email out. I just have to pick up the phone, get the deal sold. And if I send that email out, I'll tease my buyers, and this is another nugget for you all that are wholesaling. I'll tease my buyers and say property under contract. Okay, and then I'll send them another email saying property sold. So what does this do to my buyers list? It creates value. It also creates a sense of urgency and a sense of scarcity. All right, so I'm playing on some psychological triggers with my audience in regards to people that are in the market to buy property. So the next deal I have, they're biting at the bit, chomping at the mouth, drooling at the mouth to get my next deal, right? So that's a little advanced marketing strategy for you all. But anyway, I get these emails, right? So I started to see that a few weeks before the interest rate hike, I was getting the same deal at least twice a week. And this in different markets. I'm on the buyers list in Texas, in the Houston marketplace, Dallas marketplace, Beaumont, Texas marketplace. I'm also on a California email list as well. So when I started to see this, and this is a indicator. Remember, I lived through the 2008 housing crash. Not saying I don't believe, let me make this point clear. I don't believe we're heading to a housing crash. There's nothing that I've seen yet to say, oh, the market's going to crash. No, the market is slowing down. Price correction is taking place. I've experienced it myself in two different facets, right? So the other thing is I get emails saying price reduced. Price reduced. And I'll get something to say buyer, emails to say buyer backed out. So, but the price reduced is what I really pay attention to. Because what I'll do is I'll go to the original email of that same property to see how much they've reduced the price. And you'll see anything from $10,000 to $30,000+ in some instances. Okay, price reductions. Okay, from it may even be 100,000 depending on the location of the property. Okay, recently I saw something from 400 go all the way down to 300,000. Okay, and this is not on the retail side. This is on the investor side, real estate wholesalers. So I say all that to say, I am seeing some similarities that compare to 2007 in regards to emails coming from real estate wholesalers. And real estate wholesalers don't get enough credit, but we truly are the lifeblood of the real estate market. We keep the market moving. That data is not really tracked. It's not publicized. The transactions that take place because of real estate wholesalers, the data that is on CNBC and CNN and Yahoo, that data is really from the Board of Realtors, okay, from Zillow, from Realtor.com, properties that sold on the multiple listing service. But all of my investors that buy from us, okay, all of my investors, they say the majority of their deals come from wholesalers if they're not going out to get the deal themselves. All right. Without real estate wholesalers, real estate agents won't make money on listings. And I don't understand why real estate agents are mad at real estate wholesalers, because if it wasn't for the wholesaler, the agent wouldn't get the beautiful home at the end of the deal. But the more and more information becomes available, the more and more you all share this podcast, like and subscribe, the more we can educate real estate agents on how much they need real estate wholesalers in the marketplace. It's just how it's the ecosystem. It's the real estate investing ecosystem. Wholesaling real estate has been around since the 1800s. For 100 is always been a middleman in some shape or form in any industry. Okay. Now, from a rehabber's point of view, what am I seeing? Okay. I'm seeing, number one, the amount of showings from listing a property 6 months ago to today, where you could list a property, and I can only speak on my market, where you could list a property and you will have 4 to 10 showings in a day. That's not happening anymore. So there's a whole segment of the market that is not buying. Now, I can't speak on the $1 million homes. I can't even speak on the $600,000 to $700,000 homes, because I don't rehab those types of houses right now. I'm not in that market. I'm in the 180 to 200 to $300,000 market. That's where I'm rehabbing. That's my sweet spot, and that's where a lot of transactions are taking place in my marketplace. So that's like the first indicator that the housing market, something is changing. Okay. Something is changing in the market. The other thing that I'm seeing is properties are sitting on the market a little longer. And I've talked about this in the past because you all have been going through my journey on some of the properties I've been fixing up and selling. So I've had properties sit on the market longer. I've had home buyers request that everything be completed on the home inspection report. They're like demanding this because they know that, or they're being educated by their agents, that we might possibly move into a buyer's market. Nobody's really talking about that, but when you're in a buyer's market, they sometimes demand more concessions at closing. So the beautiful thing about knowing your marketplace, like my marketplace, there's a special program in the city. If you renovate a vacant house, the new home buyer can get a $10,000 credit to their purchase. So that's huge. That's huge. The other thing that I'm seeing, and I saw this in my last before the last recession. I am seeing in my market, and I'm pretty sure this is happening across the nation in different markets that are definitely underpopulated, like Baltimore City, that's where I rehab. Buyers are coming from out of state. So one of my buyers is coming from all the way from the West Coast to move into my marketplace. Now, in the West Coast real estate market, they want to be able to find a shack for the price they're paying for a property in my marketplace. And I saw this in 2006, before the housing crash of 2008. I saw more and more West Coast people moving to the East Coast, and you're gonna see this now. I talk about this a lot, like just on the East Coast with the transportation systems that are being planned, how people will relocate. Like I've already experienced that throughout my 20-year career, people from the West Coast moving to the East Coast because the cost of living is a lot cheaper. Just think about it. If gas went up and food went up, that's people's living expenses. Guess what else goes up? Rent continues to go up. Okay. Their incomes aren't going up though. Matter of fact, some people are losing their jobs. All right. Some people are losing their jobs right now. I want to talk about local government foreclosure investors from my view, from my perspective. There's always opportunity, no matter if we're in a recession or if we're in a booming market. That niche is the same. The economy as an investor doesn't affect my investment as an investor because I'm using a certain system to acquire properties way below market value. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking 3 cents on the dollar, like 3% of 100%. Okay. And this is a niche strategy that most people look over. Most people don't have the patience to invest. Literally, your money will be parked for over a year. And that's a mindset shift that has to take place. Like, you all have to become patient with your money. Because an investment, like I mentioned Chris earlier, I don't know the numbers on the local government foreclosure he recently purchased, but we've had conversations on our one-on-one Zooms where he's paying pennies on the dollar for a local government foreclosure that will appraise right now, fixed up, for over $150,000. Okay. And these types of opportunities are happening all across the United States. All across the United States. So if you in 2008, if I could buy a house for $5,000 or $10,000, in 2022, I know it's going to be worth more, whether I do work to it or not. And that's across the board, across the country. Is there an opportunity during a housing correction, during a recession? Absolutely. I want y'all to write this down. Okay. People pass away every day. All right. You can write this down too. Out of all the people that pass away, there's a small percentage in your market that actually own real estate, right? Who sometimes don't have anybody to leave the real estate to. There's a percentage of those people that die and they don't have any family. They don't have a will set up. Okay. Guess what? The property's taxes are still due a year after they passed away. Okay. There are people like that. I mentioned the deal. I just lost a deal in the Washington, D.C. market. It was a multi-million-dollar deal. High-powered attorney got involved who lived next door to this property where the owner passed away and did not have any family. It's a $3 million house. Went up in taxes. Okay. Now this attorney knows somebody in DC government. I guess they're doing some type of receivership and the property's going to go to auction. If he wasn't involved, I could have probably picked up the property pennies on the dollar. Okay. But those are the types of opportunities that exist. Like these are properties, they call them zombie properties, where nobody's coming for them. And if nobody comes for them, eventually the city and the state end up getting the proceeds from the sale. Eventually, there's a whole process with that. And that's my marketplace. I can't really speak on every marketplace on how they do it, but there are people that pass away every day that own real estate and nothing happens. Nobody inherits it. It goes to tax sale or tax deed auction. Okay. And that's where you can pick up some really good deals. That was a whole nugget. I hope everybody caught that. I didn't say step by step, but some of you will be able to piece certain things together there, right? And then from a landlording perspective, you know, my only I stick to my guns with this. If you're a landlord, the only types of tenants you want to have in your properties, especially during times like this, are tenants that can't be affected by the economy, whether it goes up and down. And those are tenants with some type of government voucher, preferably Section 8. That's truly how you can bulletproof cash flow during down times. Unless you're a money hoarder, unless you're great at saving and investing, you need cash flow to survive. Now, one of the great things, somebody's texting me now. One of the great things about recessions, right? They don't last forever, ever. The other thing is prices do come down, which create buying opportunities. But the only way you're gonna be in a position to take advantage of buying opportunities is if you have the right information, the right education, the right system, the right plan. And that's where the Freedom and Wealth Academy comes in. Lower than a car payment, where you learn how to wholesale real estate, where you learn how to invest in local government foreclosures, where you learn how to rehab houses, where you learn how to build and start a successful and sustainable rental portfolio. We cover all those niches inside the academy that's going to be launching really, really soon. And it's only $347 a month. And there's no obligation. You can't make a payment your third month. Guess what? You can come back when you're ready. You just want to have access to that curriculum and the academy only Zoom calls that we hold twice a month. And we'll be talking more about that. So I want to share some news with you all. Is it good news? And maybe to some, but to others it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad for a lot of people. I'm going to share my screen here. We got some people in the chat. People agree. Shout out to Pamela Sparks, who was at our rehab mastery. Shout out to Pamela. Let's share my screen here, folks, so you can see what I see. So I just wanted to Google today just to sift around, and I'll show you what I discovered. So look at this. Mortgage lender lays off, 2007. So that's the year 2007. There were some 86,000 mortgage job cuts in 2007 and countless more in subsequent years as major institutions like Bear Stearns, who we all know, Countrywide Financial, Indy Mac, and Washington Mutual all shuttered. They were bailed out eventually, right? So look at all the news. 86,000 mortgage jobs cut. Subprime layoffs hit record September 19th, 2007. Now, guess what was going on for me in 2007? I was steadily rehabbing houses and profiting from them, right? I actually took a trip across the world, around the world in 2007 to South Africa. And then while in South Africa, I started hearing the word recession. The American dollar. No, the first thing I heard was the American dollar has gone down in value by 50% or something like that. There were literally newscasters in Europe, in South Africa, that were tearing up the US dollar on air. I was watching this and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to the real estate market when I get back? And something did happen. It wasn't good. So remember, when I look at news, now that I have some wisdom from going through stuff like this is CNBC here, I'm highlighting it. Mortgage Lenders Network stops loans, sets layoffs. Right? So what I learned from that experience is that I don't want to be over leveraged when it comes to another recession. And there are a lot of investors that are over leveraged. Okay. Look what I put in today. Mortgage lender layoffs 2022. Look what pops up just a day ago. Wyndham Capital Mortgage conducts 2 layoffs in June. In retreat, Wells Fargo cuts additional mortgage jobs. Here's another one. National Mortgage News. Wells Fargo continues mortgage layoffs. Mortgage layoffs surge. Rising rates crush lending activity. These mortgage lenders have cut jobs in 2022. Let's see what they're talking about. Penny Mac. Loan Depot, guaranteed rate. Long list of mortgage layoffs. This is July 6th. This is an article from July 6th. And guess what they make mention of? There were some 86,000 job cuts in 2007 and countless more. Recent mortgage layoffs have been driven by a major decrease in refinance demand and dwindling pool of eligible home buyers, thanks to significantly higher mortgage rates. And here are the numbers. So remember when I said, I don't think we're heading to a housing crash. Okay. I believe we're going into a housing correction. These cuts, and these are the numbers. Numbers don't lie. These cuts are not as significant as the 2007 debacle. Wells Fargo only cut 107 jobs. So we gotta read beyond the headlines. First guaranteed mortgage, 428. I mean, people are cutting hundreds of jobs. This list, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's not in, it may be 10,000 at the most. Maybe. Like when we start seeing articles, one lender cuts 30,000 jobs or something like that, or one bank, then it maybe time to worry. But this isn't like 2007. But again, guess what? People are losing their jobs, and we all know, and I always say, look for opportunity in the news. We all know that statistics show that most people live paycheck to paycheck. I'm pretty sure a lot of you agree with that. The other thing that we know is that some of those people that lost their jobs have mortgages. So there's going to be some shakeup over the next 12 to 24 months in people's households. Okay, if they did not plan if they did not save. And it's very easy when things are going good to get emotional to that, to what's happening. It feels good. You never think it's going to stop. Your lifestyle changes. I know mortgage lenders that drive around in BMWs and Mercedes, okay, and Range Rovers because they're doing 5-6 figures a month, right? But that income has changed since. And if you're not saving, if your lifestyle exceeds your bank account, then you can find yourself in trouble. Because just like, some of those headlines that I went through said bankruptcy. Like some of these companies, these lending companies are filing bankruptcy, right? So those mortgage brokers, they're jobless right now. So if they have a home and their mortgage is three to 4,000 a month, how long can they sustain that before having hardship? How long can some of these marriages last before hardship really hits? Right? Because we all know the divorce rate goes up during tough economic times. What happens to the home? People lose the house. And that's not including other unexpectedcies like death, illness that can come along during a recession. So it's going to create an opportunity for investors, sadly to say, to buy low and sell high, or buy and hold. That's just how the world is. There's really nothing we can do about that. All right. It's numbers at the end of the day. It's numbers at the end of the day. And that's what changes the market. That's what happened in 2007. Not just the mortgage industry lost jobs, but many other people lost jobs who really couldn't afford their homes. And it caused an avalanche of foreclosures. And that's what drove down home prices. Now, people are saying all over the internet, you hear something new each and every day. I'm sticking to numbers. I'm just not going off of what people are saying. I'm looking at numbers. And the other thing that I'm not doing is over leveraging myself by getting into too many projects at once that I know there's a chance the market could change overnight. Like today, I heard news, heard conversations. The interest rate dropped for 2 weeks straight. Somebody could take that wrong and say, "Oh, I can buy 2 more houses, or I can pay a little extra for this house," and then next month the interest rate goes back up, and now they're like, "Why did I do that?" Because they made an emotional decision. So I make all my investments based off the numbers. I want to know how long properties in certain neighborhoods stay on the market before they're under contract, how many of those properties that were under contract actually closed, and how long it took from contract to close. Okay, because that gives me an indicator on the lending market, how banks are looking at their borrowers. Okay. I'm also looking at the amount of renovation for those properties that sold. I'm also looking at the acquisition price. And I want to make sure I'm coming in as low as I can, under or close to the acquisition price of the 3 or 4 properties that sold before mine. I'm also looking at how many properties am I now competing with in that neighborhood that are on the market, that are not under contract. All right. My strategy isn't going to be everybody's strategy, though. My strategy for me right now is to sell as many properties as I can to create as much cash on hand as I can to buy and invest when prices go down. That's my strategy. Oh, wow, I've been talking. Direct Mail Wednesday. I love this. I love when I get postcards, right? Y'all know I love direct mail, but this postcard is actually from a student of one of my former students. And this is a format that I taught many, many years ago, back in 2007, when I started coaching. And people are still using this format. Look how old that looked like. This is like literally you make this on your computer, you cut it out. Look how uneven. Like it looks homemade, but it works. It actually works. So this is a postcard I pulled out the I call it my swipe file. They sent this to me many years ago because maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I sold this property about 4 years ago. It says, we pay the most for your house. I've been desperately trying to reach you for a few months now in reference to your property located at 525 22nd Street. I have tried just about everything I could to get in contact with you, but nothing has worked. So I'm sending you this postcard. My partner and I buy 5 to 6 houses per month, and we are very interested in buying your property ASAP. We are cash buyers and we can settle in 2 weeks. We have a team of general contractors who are ready to begin work as soon as possible. So if the property needs work, that will not be a problem. I am hopeful that you will call me back as soon as you receive this postcard so that we can buy your property immediately. Folks, this is the same postcard from 2007. Somebody sent me like in 2019. Like, it's withstood the test of time. It's generational. Like, this is a second generation student that one of my former students coaches or coached that's using this. It doesn't, the thing is, folks, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how pretty the postcard is. It matters how consistent the person sending the postcard is, how consistent. And they don't have a logo. They have their names and two ways of getting in contact with the property owner. But I can't say anything bad about this. I don't use this form. I don't cut out my postcards anymore. That's the only thing. They added a personal stamp, but you got to give them 2 thumbs up for effort. And then you got to give them another thumbs up for using something that I taught back in 2007. So make sure y'all watch this replay, screenshot the postcard, and start implementing it, because you're going to get calls. Like, this stuff really works. These small little postcards really work, okay? You got to do the work. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do it for you. So freedom and wealth lesson number 3, tonight's lesson. I wanted this lesson to really be more about mindset, okay? Creating the mindset to survive and thrive in a recession. Some of you may be thinking, or in a mode of, or a state of paralysis or even panic, that you don't know where your life is going to be, right? I want you to understand, and this is again from my lens, through my experience, that when life gets hard, when times get hard, it creates tough people, right? It creates tough people. And for me, the way I prepared myself mentally for the 2008 crash was I aligned myself with thought leaders that spoke positivity. In 2008, you all can go back in YouTube and you can start YouTubing. Google owns YouTube. Googling some of the people that I would watch on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Tony Robbins was one of them, right? If you don't know his story, one of the reasons why I gravitated to Tony Robbins, and this really speaks to uh, some marketing principles that I just spoke about as far as being consistent. A lot of you that are my age, I'm 41. If you grew up in the 80s, you probably remember seeing Tony Robbins on television as a kid. Like when nothing else would be on TV, no sports, no cartoons, Tony Robbins would be on TV. And at the end of the day, as you flick through the channels and you go from commercial to commercial to commercial, or boring television broadcast, you would always end back on Tony Robbins because he had this sense of excitement. He had this sense of urgency. He had this authority. And you're just a kid, and you start watching this stuff, and you don't know anything he's talking about, right? But I want y'all to understand something. For the folks that grew up like me, watching Tony Robbins, he is now embedded in our subconscious. So when we become adults, and watch how I tie this into being consistent in your marketing. And now we're adults, and one of the first thought leaders that come to mind as far as personal growth and self-development is Tony Robbins. So during that tough time of 2008, I had to lean in to an authority for knowledge, for inspiration, for motivation. Okay, I had to turn off the noise that I may have been consuming before. I had to change my frequency. That's the only way I believe I could survive and eventually thrive in a recession. And what came about that, if you all recall my story, in 2007, I started mentoring people. I've mentored hundreds of people since 2007. I've taught thousands of people since 2007. But that all came from tough times. I based my mentorship and coaching and education off of the tough times that I went through in 2007 and all the mistakes I made prior up to that point, because I started investing in myself in 2002 and investing in real estate for about 4 or 5 years before I started teaching. So the lesson, back to this lesson, is start educating your minds on how to grow, on how to create staying power, resiliency. And the best way of learning how is learning from people that have been through some adversity, that have gone through some tough times in their lives. I introduced my students in 2012 to a gentleman named Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher. I held live in-person classes in Greenbelt, Maryland. Some of you watching this podcast may have sat in if you were one of our members then. But each and every month, we would have a deal closer training, and we would start the training with an ET video. This was before Eric Thomas was a household name as he is today. He's right up there with Tony Robbins, but this gentleman was homeless, eating out of trash cans, and he turned his life around. There's another gentleman that has taken the internet by storm since his release out of prison just 5 years ago. He's now a multimillionaire. His name is Wallow267. Like, who remembers? I think there was a game on AOL called Where's Wallow? Well, he was in prison in Pennsylvania. Actually, no, it's a real person named Wallow. Wallow267, one of the most thought-provoking most inspirational, motivational speakers, I believe, on the planet today. Okay. There's so many different types of people you can tap into to gain inspiration to, who you can tie yourselves to and align yourselves with online, just like I did. So that's the lesson for today. You cannot grow your incomes unless you grow yourself. I can give you the roadmap A to Z, but if you don't have the discipline to stay consistent, and understanding consistency breeds execution. Prime example, wait until you hear the Jennifer Jordan story, who I challenged for 90 days to change her behavior and consistently take action. And when she decided to change her behavior, I don't know what she was doing with her time. She ends up landing a 5-figure wholesale deal. And guess what? She's working on her second deal and possibly her third. But it all comes from staying consistent. So folks, I'm gonna leave you here. We're well over an hour tonight. We didn't even have a special guest, but I hope you all got something from episode 28. I'm looking forward to sharing more. I'm meeting with my videographer tomorrow morning. Got some exciting, some entertaining things in store for all of our freedom and wealth seekers. Folks, like, share, comment on on our YouTube channel. Last week's interview with Derek Anthony is up on REI Inner Circle, the YouTube channel. We're going to be sharing more content soon, getting somebody to edit a lot of these podcasts down to shorts and 5-minute, 10-minute reels. And I'm going to be talking about data next week. Data. Okay, it rolls right into the Freedom and Wealth Seekers platform. And what we're doing here, we've been taking hard looks at our data, how long people have been viewing these videos, when people view the videos, who is viewing these videos. You'll be surprised at what we're finding, but these same data principles that we're applying here on the platform, the Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast, REI Inner Circle YouTube channel, we can apply in our real estate investing businesses. Okay, so we're going to dive a little deeper into data and how important that is on upcoming episodes. And I'm excited. Episode 30 is coming up, and we got some big announcements happening very, very soon. Talk to you soon, folks. Take care. God bless. I look forward to seeing you all at the closing table very, very soon. Bye-bye.